Hey guys, this video is going to be a little bit of a mashup of about a week and a half of work in the garden and just some beautiful things like this sunflower that was a volunteer lawn sunflower and is thriving. We're going to save seeds from it because it's absolutely beautiful. This is just a little snapshot of what's going on. There's some cauliflower starting to head up, which is really exciting. And then I went to battle with this mound of concrete topsoil with my little hand tiller here. This took a good little bit, although it didn't take as long as I thought that it would, so that was good. I just kept going over and over and over it and eventually got it ground down enough so that I could spread it out. It is still a little bit mounded up, but at this point I'm okay with that. And then later in the video, you're going to see me put a little garden bed on this. This stuff is so hard. I don't even know why they classified it as topsoil, although it did come off of the top of the soil. So I'm guessing that is why they did that. So this is it all done and cleared, smoothed out as much as I can, and then I'm going to go ahead and amend this long bed. Now, I had this idea, and I think that it was God-given, and you guys have to let me know what you think of this. This fence is, as you can see, along the road, and I thought about potentially planting a bunch of different things in this bed, like maybe a couple tomato plants, some beans that will climb up the fence, maybe some peppers, and then put a little sign out on the road that says like a you pick situation. So like if you can reach it, you can pick it, because the tomatoes and the peppers, like they're all gonna, like if I plant them close enough to the fence, they'll go through the fence and people will be able to easily walk up to the fence and actually pick some of the tomatoes or some of the peppers or some of the beans. And I just thought that would be such a cool way to feed the community and allow people to experience what homegrown food tastes like. And I don't know, I have a really good feeling about it, and I think that I'm going to go ahead and try it. Now, my concern with that is that they might get stuck in the side of the road there. We are quite a bit out in the country, so, you know, it's not like there's a shoulder or anything they can pull off onto, so that could potentially cause issue. But I don't know. I have all winter to think about it. We'll see how we feel come spring and when we're planting this bed out. But as you can see, I have a bunch of perennials in here. These are all like gladiolas that have either volunteered or I just kind of plopped them in there. So that's going to be beautiful. And then I have this little rosemary right here. I have not had great success with rosemary in the past. I have realized and noticed that if I just completely neglect them and treat them terribly, they do the best. So I don't know how it's going to do with this nice, rich horse manure around it, but it's going to have to deal with it. This spot was just kind of a catch-all spot where I had tomatoes, and these tomatoes are lawn tomatoes, so they vined all the way over here and kind of come up. I had some leftover fencing there that they were climbing over, and it was just time to clean this up. It was kind of looking junky in the yard, and I was just ready to get it cleaned up. So Mighty and I go to battle on this as well, and yes, I am in fact in my pajamas. It was super comfy, and you should be envious because yes, I'm in my yard in my pajamas, and you also wish you could be in your yard in your pajamas. They were soft and cozy, and I had this moment before I came outside where I was like, should you change? And the answer was no. So here is a different day, and I'm going to build this little garden bed. Now, these are the leftover cinder blocks from the pallet of cinder blocks that I got for the other two beds, which was such a huge blessing because I didn't expect to have any left over. So I'm just bringing them all over, and I'm not sure just how big of a garden bed I'm actually going to be able to make with the leftovers. So I just start laying them down, and I am placing them exactly the way that I did with the other beds. I'm just smoothing out the surface, making sure that it's flat and even, level-ish. This is going to probably be redone, so I'm not doing it as precisely as I did the other beds, because when I get a new pallet, I will make this bed larger. So I'm not doing it as precisely as I did the other beds, but especially these end ones will probably stay put. So I am putting more effort into making sure that they are secure. And you see me looking around a whole lot because I'm smelling something that is not natural. Like it's clearly a human, but I'm not able to see the human, so that's weirding me out. And somebody had just walked by on the street, which is not normal for us either. So, you know, I'm on high alert. So that is why I'm looking around and trying to figure out where the person that I am smelling is. And then I went in and got Mighty, and said, okay, at least he'll be able to smell it as well and alert me to if the person has ill intent. So he's hanging out. Plus, it was just really nice to have him in the garden. I had left him inside because it was warm, like the sun is warm, and I didn't want him to get too hot. But you will see him move all over the garden because it was warm. So he went from sunbathing to panting to going under the arbor to get some shade, and then he just kind of did that over and over again. So here I'm just doing this process over and over again. And this topsoil is really hard, but it is actually really nice to lay these bricks on. Sorry, not the bricks, the cinder blocks or the concrete blocks, because it is a nice firm surface that doesn't move and doesn't crack down a lot. So as long as I get it smooth and secure, it does seem to stay really well. Although my other beds have shifted, and I expected that, but I am not looking for perfection here. I am in nature, and nature isn't perfect, and it's going to move and it's going to shift, and that is okay with me. So these were being a little ornery, and I was trying to level them out, and then I remembered these little tabby things on the top, and that helped it a little bit. I have not put in the concrete glue stuff, the mortar caulk stuff in the center because this is kind of temporary. I will probably end up redoing this bed when I get a new pallet of concrete blocks. So I'm just putting this in temporarily, and it actually turns out to be a little like sandbox dirt pit that the kids really enjoy, and I might end up keeping it. I'm not sure. It is right there in the center of the garden, so whatever I put in here is going to be a centerpiece potentially, but the kids really enjoy playing in it, so we'll see whether it becomes a little play pit or whether it becomes another garden bed. It's most likely going to become another garden bed, and I may make another little dirt pit dig spot somewhere else. So even here, I'm looking at, as I'm watching the video and doing the voiceover, I'm seeing that bottom right concrete block. Here's Mighty supervising, wondering why I'm leaving. So in the last clip, that cinder block bugs me, so I will go ahead and fix that later when I make it more permanent. Now I'm just harvesting soil from around the garden that I know needs to be moved. This was an old flower bed. If you go back in my videos, I used to have the entrance to the garden was right here. I had an arbor, and then I had two little brick garden beds, like flower beds on either side of that arbor. So that is what I am taking out now because that arbor is no longer there. And then I am shoveling it into this garden bed. I chose not to dump the wheelbarrow this time because the cinder blocks are not secured and I didn't want to have them move. This is a different day again, and I am going to battle on this loofah and giving her even more of a hair trim because I'm ready to get this cleaned up. I way overplanted this garden bed. But hey, you live and you learn. I threw a bunch of seeds in there. I had a vision. I wanted it to come true. It didn't because I way overplanted it. It was still beautiful. But in here I have asparagus. I planted zinnias, I planted marigolds, which you can see kind of on the corner there. What else? I had a couple volunteer tomatoes come up, which those tomatoes are delicious. I have a rose over in the corner, the left corner of this bed, and then the loofah is planted right beside that. So I really didn't want the, what is that thing called? The green asparagus. I didn't want the asparagus to be completely choked out because I want this to be a perennial thing that just keeps coming back, and I don't want to kill them in their first season. But as you can see, they look really good, and those are the little fern looking things in there, so I'm hoping they do okay. And I just had to pause for this beautiful Cosmo that is just epic over the side of this big garden bed, and I am going to save as many seeds from this, give some to Courtney, and keep lots for me to plant next season. Now this is a different day again, and we're moving on to mulching the long potential, you pick this one, situation, and I'm just laying a nice thick layer of wood chips down on the top of this, and this is just going to rest all winter. So, I mean, I might plug a couple little things in here and there, but overall this will just rest and compost and hopefully be really rich and nutrient dense for next season. Now, you see the goats in the background. They are not mine. They are friends, and we are using them to manage the woods. So they're wonderful, but they are not mine. But they're good little garden buddies. As long as I don't break through that fence, I will be okay with them. It is amazing how quickly goats take down branches and leaves and stuff. This is our lawn pumpkin. It is a complete volunteer, and it's actually putting on little pumpkins. I don't know how well it's going to do. I don't know whether it's actually going to get anywhere before the frost hits, but we're enjoying watching it try. This is a couple days later at the asparagus bed, and it's looking great. And the loofah is dying back. I'm going to let it go for a little bit longer, most likely cut it down. Here is this veggie bed. I don't know what to call it. You guys can see which one it is. I have a whole bunch of different stuff in there. I am going to be doing a garden tour where I'm going through and telling you what everything is and showing you the progress of it. But look how beautiful this garden is. It is so pretty. And we're mulching this spot as well. So around that little play pit, as you can see, there it is. It's being dug in. And it has been really fun. So we're going to be putting wood chips along there as well. And this is what the U-pick bed looks like. I'm just going to call it the U-pick bed for now. And another shot of this beautiful Cosmo plant. It is, oh, the flowers on this, and the bees are still really enjoying it. I'm so grateful to be still producing flowers, and like the garden is still producing flowers. God's providing flowers within this garden space for the pollinators. It just brings me so much joy. And then this tomato plant is struggling, but the tomatoes on it are absolutely delicious. So this was a volunteer that just popped up in the asparagus bed with the loofah. And I did pick them and had me a little garden snack, although that one had something else that already had a garden snack on it, and I wasn't really interested. So I said, hey, maybe it'll become a volunteer again and be just as delicious. And this is the outside of the garden fence where the loofah has taken over, and the tomatoes had also climbed up it, and there was tomatoes ripening, and I thought you guys would enjoy seeing it. And this little hoverfly was just the cutest little thing in this beautiful yellow flower. And he did fly up and, well, he or she flew up and looked at me for a minute being like, hey, this is my flower. And I was like, yeah, buddy, you're fine. I'm just taking a video of you. And this honeybee digging around in this loofah flower. This loofah is still putting on beautiful flowers. And so I don't want to cut it down because it's offering so much food for the pollinators. So I'm probably going to leave it as long as I can. Because of this reason, and also the flowers are still absolutely beautiful. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you next time.